Emma grew up in a small town. After school, she was trained as a seamstress and moved to the city. Here, the girl got a job as a seamstress in a factory, where she sewed simple, everyday clothes. Of course, she dreamed of having her own studio and sewing her collections of clothes, but so far it was all just a dream. To distract from the work, she sometimes went with her co-workers to nightclubs. It was during one of those evenings Emma met Daniel, a cheerful, athletic and always stylishly dressed guy. The relationship between Emma and Daniel developed quickly, and 3 months later they started to live together. They rented an apartment and they shared all of their expenses and responsibilities. The only thing Emma knew about Daniel was that he worked as a driver for some rich widow. He told her nothing else, no matter how much she asked him. One day, Daniel came home depressed and practically in tears. Emma began to ask him what had happened, and he confessed that he had lost heavily in the casino, over 50,000, and that if he did not pay back his debt, they would do terrible things to him. Emma consoled the guy, not knowing how to help him. Suddenly, Daniel looked at Emma in a strange way and spoke for the first time about the woman he worked for. Her name was Sylvia, and it turned out that she and her late husband had frozen their biomaterials while he was still alive. And coincidentally, Sylvia was just now looking for someone who was willing to carry her baby. Emma didn't know what to say, but Daniel's behavior seemed even more shocking. He begged her to agree, promising that it would solve all their problems. The boyfriend was eloquent, and Emma was too much in love to leave him in trouble. After thinking for a few days, Emma finally agreed and met with Sylvia to discuss the details. Sylvia won Emma over with her frankness. She told her a long story about herself, how she had met her husband, how they had fallen in love. She showed her their pictures, and finally they got down to business. Sylvia promised Emma a generous reward if she would agree to carry the baby. Her beloved's life was at stake, and Emma asked to have everything written out in a contract. Sylvia assured her that she had nothing to worry about, and of course she would sign a detailed contract. Once again, weighing the pros and cons, Emma signed the documents. Several IVF followed, 2 of which were unsuccessful, and only the 3rd attempt succeeded. Sylvia provided Emma with the best groceries, gave her clothes and cosmetics. In a word, she supported her in everything. The first ultrasound showed twins, but fortunately Emma had an easy pregnancy. Although she felt a connection to those babies, as if they were her own, she managed to convince herself that she was just carrying them and she shouldn't have to get used to them. In the fall, Emma gave birth to a boy and a girl. The doctors intended to take the babies to Sylvia right away, but Emma asked for a few minutes to look at them and say goodbye. She looked at the 2 red, wrinkled faces, smiled, and whispered softly that she loved them very much and wished them happiness. Emma suffered from the impending separation, but understood that they were not her children and that it was too late to change anything. After checking out of the maternity hospital, Emma decided to stop by Sylvia's mansion to get her things. She did not want to see anyone, so she decided to go without Daniel. On the way, Emma was thinking about how she could now live with Daniel, who would continue to work in the house and probably would be telling her about the children without understanding her pain. Emma was walking to Sylvia's house, marvelling for the 1000th time at the wonderful nature and the clean air around it, and thinking that the children will be happy here. Calmed by these thoughts, she approached the house and saw that Daniel's car was parked in the yard. Emma entered the house, and as she walked past the study, she involuntarily heard fragments of phrases. She stopped and couldn't believe her ears. From the conversation, she realized that in fact Sylvia was infertile, and to obtain heirs from her husband, she offered Daniel to use Emma's eggs secretly from her for an additional fee to him personally. Emma quietly went downstairs and hurried to disappear before anyone noticed her. She needed time to think of a plan of action. The woman understood that Sylvia had a lot of money and connections, and she would use all her opportunities. Secretly from Daniel, Emma contacted a good lawyer. When everything was ready, Emma told her boyfriend that she knew about his intrigue and promised that he would answer for what he had done. Daniel, of course, denied everything, but no one could save him now. Sylvia hired 3 lawyers to defend her, and they tried to invoke the contract Emma had signed, but her talented lawyer defended the case honorably in court. In addition, a DNA test confirmed the relationship between Emma and the children. Sylvia could not survive the embarrassment and threat of imprisonment, and during Emma's lawyer's guilty plea, she suffered a heart attack. The paramedics were unable to save the elderly woman. Emma won the case, and her children inherited the entire fortune of Sylvia and her husband. Emma became a wealthy woman and the mother of 2 wonderful children. But most importantly, she learned a lifelong lesson. You can't completely trust people who ask you to sacrifice something valuable for their benefit.